Hey, what's up, everybody? Today I'm going to be showing you how to get the guitar tone for Actin Up by Miranda Lambert. Let's take a listen to what that sounds like. All right, let's jump right into it. So, full disclosure, first of all, I have literally no idea what they used to record the song with. I don't know what guitars they used, what amps, whether it was real or a modeling unit such as the one that I'm using. And I live in Nashville. I know I have no excuse. I'm probably a couple phone calls away from being able to find that information out. But frankly, I guess I just don't care enough to do that. So anyway, I think what it sounds like is a Telecaster in the neck position with the tone rolled down about halfway. I'm also using a Fractal FM3 modeling unit here. You can use a real amp. You can use a myriad of other amp modeling units such as the Helix, the Kemper, the Headrush, the Neural DSP. Whatever suits your fancy, ultimately. But the most important thing is that whatever you use, you need to be running stereo because the delay is stereo on this song, and that's how you get the boom effect that you hear on the recording. So that is very important. For the amplifier that I'm using the Custom Audio Amplifiers 3 SE preamp. I love the way this thing sounds. It's super clean, super precise. I have chosen to turn the bright switch on. You can turn it off if you like, but I think it just adds so much more chiminess to it that, the presence knob or the treble knob just can't do on its own. So without the bright switch on, here's what we got. I think that sounds a bit too dark. So let's go ahead and hit this bright switch on and hear the difference. Immediately, it's just so much brighter. It's subtle, though. And I know I might be contradicting myself because I have the treble pulled down a bit and I've got the bass knob up a bit, but those are hitting different frequencies. I've got the master volume pulled down to about 4 or, about 11 o'clock on an amp, and the gain set to about halfway. So that's about it for the amp block. Onto the compression. I think this is a crucial part of the tone too. It adds a bit of sustain, and it kind of just beefs up the low end, which you really need for this song. So without the compression, this is what it sounds like. Compression on. The riff without the compression. With compression. Compression off. You can hear the sustain drops off right there. I love the way that sounds. I've got the threshold pulled back to about -26.5, ratio just a little above 2, auto attack and release, and a little bit of gain compensation for the gain that the compressor pulls out. It's an analog compressor. So that's it for the compressor. On to the most important effect, the delay. Now, this is why I had said that you need to run it in stereo. I'm running a dual delay with an eighth note panned hard left and a quarter note delay panned hard right. It's also important that you do the panning in those orders too with those two delays, because if you listen to the song, you'll hear that the initial delay that hits is very fast, kind of like it is an eighth note delay, followed by a longer quarter note delay. So let's take a listen to what that sounds like, and then I'll explain some more about what I'm doing with this delay sound. So hear that attack like I'm talking about. If you're listening with headphones or speakers, you can hear the left side hits first. Immediately followed by that kind of ping pong effect from the right side. Super cool. Let's jump more into what I'm doing with this delay tone. So the stock fractal feedback on this particular delay is it clocks in at 20% is what it just loads as stock. But I pulled it back to 0% for the purposes of making that delay super fast cutoff time, which you really need for this song. So if I were to compare that to how it sounds stock on the delay, this is what you get. It trails on just a bit too long in my opinion, so that's why I've choked it to 0%. Now, this is not an accurate model for regular delay pedals. I don't know how they calculate their feedback in here, but if you have just a standard delay pedal, the feedback is, if you set it to 0, it's just going to stop repeating at all. Another thing is the mix knob. I have it set to 40%, which is super high for me. I usually do not set the mix higher than 15 or 20% on a delay, but since the delay is the focal point of this song, or this guitar part rather, you need it bussin'. Delay is kicking. Another thing I meant to mention is the BPM is 140 BPM. If you're running on a delay pedal, you may not have the ability to set the BPM. So 240 milliseconds for the left delay and 429 milliseconds for the right delay. EQ. So for this, I decided to cut off a lot of high end on this delay. I cut everything above 2500 hertz because I wanted it to sound really dark. If you were to take it and go back to, I think it was set at 10K initially. Back to 2500. It's subtle, but it removes a lot of that chiminess of the delay, which you want it to be pretty dark. Not too dark, though. That pretty much covers everything I've done for the delay. And lastly, this is something that I thought of to add to really tighten up this tone, is by adding a noise gate. This is optional. You do what you see best for this. I thought it was good to have something to really choke that, that delay off and kind of keep it in its place. I've got the threshold set pretty high for this to keep any additional transients from coming through, but only what you're really picking, and just a little bit of that repeat. And also, I didn't adjust anything on the noise gate, I think, besides the threshold and the ratio. So here's with the gate on. Here it kind of just dies off as soon as I release my... As soon as I kind of mute the strings with my left hand, it just immediately dies off. And that's it for the noise gate. That's basically the whole tone for this whole song. There's probably a bunch of studio magic that's going on, and probably some other subtleties that I may have missed, but I think that gets you where you need to be. If you liked this tone, if you liked this video, this tutorial, then leave a comment below. Be sure to subscribe, and I would love to post more content like this. Thank you guys for watching.